Hi, this is Patrick Janes, Director of Business Development at vAuto. Well, certainly change has been amongst us for several months. The fact that I'm doing an NIADA workshop virtually instead of in a hotel breakout room in Las Vegas confirms where we're at. Today, I want to speak specifically about the changes to buying cars at auction and some insights that I believe may prepare us for this new normal everyone refers to. Our industry has been forced to make a shift on many fronts, including an all-digital auction environment. Lanes closed with no ability to touch, smell, or kick the tires before a vehicle runs through the lane, even if it runs in a live simulcast auction. This is a study of over 100 dealerships that I've been consistently monitoring, and these dealerships buy regularly at auction. The blue portion of the bar represents the share of in-lane purchases. You can see that that was a high percentage of their business prior to on or about March 15th when the lockdown occurred. And you can see that represented by the red circle. The orange and gray represent online purchases through live simulcast or just buying a unit listed statically on an auction site. Literally overnight, this group of dealers, as all of us had to transition to a 100% digital environment. Now, to be fair, other industries have been impacted by a radical shift to other technologies that they weren't really prepared for either. Let's take a look at the local news. This is an up-and-coming newscaster found themselves unable to go to the studio due to the pandemic. So news stories had to be broadcasted from home, and I'm sure you've seen several of these over the last few months. Here's she explaining new technology that can kill viruses in your home from her home. The problem is she still lives with her parents. And Dad forgets she is airing the segment. So enter Dad stage right. What I love about this clip is her response is absolutely priceless. During the airing of this segment, she actually says, "Dad, holy crap." As the father of 3 grown adults, I have also taken on the responsibility of embarrassing my children. It's the best part of parenting later in life. So back to the challenges in our industry from all this change. At vAuto, we study over 12,000 dealerships that use our software to manage their inventory. Needless to say, we have a lot of data. Though this chart is pretty busy, I want to spend a minute because I believe this really sums up where we have been and where we are likely going when it comes to used vehicle sales and availability. So watch the bouncing ball, if you will. You see the 120% up in the upper left-hand corner? I'm going to reveal some percentages as we move from left to right across this chart. But let's identify what all these lines mean. The black line is actually vehicles that were acquired. And if you notice across the timeline in the bottom, that is this year, 2020. And the red circle points out really where the pandemic hit and things started to lock down. So before the pandemic, you can see in terms of vehicle acquisition by dealers, these 12,000 dealers we're looking at, they were way up in purchases and trades. The blue line represents sales versus last year. These are year-over-year comparisons. So we're at 120% of last year in both acquisitions and in sales. The gray line is the actual dealer inventory, the aggregate dealer inventory for all these stores that we're looking at. So life is good. We're in a very robust economy, and then the pandemic hits. The crash, right? Sales dropped down to 40% of last year. Cratered. Acquisitions drop down as well because we're not getting trade-ins. We're not buying cars at auction. We don't know what the future holds. Then we start to recover. We come out of the pandemic, at least market-wise, very quickly. You see the V-shaped recovery that everybody talks about. And actually, business was robust, back to 120% of year over year. But notice the gray line where dealer inventory went. We ran out of cars. Business was great. We were acquiring as many vehicles as we could from wholesale and from trades, but dealer inventory continued to plummet. That probably explains why we're seeing such high prices at auction. Demand is exceeding supply, quite simply. So where are we at now? As you'll see, as you move to the far right of the graph, dealer inventories are starting to recover. We're at about 90% of last year in dealer inventory levels. Sales have kind of stabilized a little bit, and we're pretty much at about 100% of year-over-year sales. Now, what I believe is when those two things come together, when we have as much inventory as we are selling, that starts to relieve some of the pressure of the high wholesale prices. So I do believe this fall that there could be some opportunities to buy some cars at auction and actually find some bargains. A long time ago, early in my career, I read this book. It's a short, easy read, which kind of aligns with my reading practices, having been in the car business way too many years. And if and when I write my own book, it will be how I believe ADD was created in the car business. But I think the characters in this book can help us understand who we are and who we need to be to capitalize on what lies ahead in our industry in this post-pandemic market. So let me introduce the four characters in this book. Hem, one who denies change and fears it will lead to something worse. Sticks their head in the sand, right? The other character is Haw, who learns to adapt in time when he sees changing can lead to something better, but slow to go, but then really embraces. Scurry does just that, scurries into action, panics a little bit, tries to find how they can take advantage of the opportunity. Sniff actually sniffs out change early and is typically ahead of the game and is ready and prepared to anticipate the opportunity. Now let's break each of these characters down as to where we are today with maybe dealer psyche. So Hem says, this too shall pass. I'll be able to go back and buy cars in the lane when this is all over. So I'm going to shoot from the hip and pick up some units that have always worked in my inventory. That's what I know, and I'm too old school to change now. With all due respect, if you're in this category and plan to remain, my advice is good luck with that. And let's talk in the spring to see how that is working out for you. Haw. The Haws might be ahead of the game. If they saw the change, even well before the pandemic, with what's going on with technology, this is a dealership that I worked with that I think really represents a Haw. I worked with this dealership as a performance manager for about 3 years, beginning in 2015. His biggest challenge was spending countless hours physically hanging out at auctions because, rightly so, he bought edgy cars, many of which catered to the younger tuners, which he was actually of that generation himself. His wife was the office manager and found herself greeting customers and selling cars. Not what she signed up with, by the way. She told me that pretty clearly. But she was doing this while he was away at auction. His other challenge was getting cars frontline ready because they tended to be projects. And he relied on outsourcing his body work, and it made for a long, long lead time. Today, this dealer buys everything online because he's forced, or maybe his better half did, himself to trust more data through technology rather than having to eye the cars. Now, he had to learn some inconsistencies amongst auctions on condition reports, but now he sits back in his office like an air traffic controller, he tells me, buying cars. And he's opened up a small in-house body shop of his own with this extra time he has to spend at the dealership in order to improve his speed to market. So what's his biggest challenge now? I mean, what could be left now if his wife is happy, right? His body shop is slammed because other dealers are bringing their edgy cars to him, begging them to fix them because the in-house thing got out on the street. Nice problem to have. The scurries might be some of you that got caught off guard with everything going digital and you were strictly an in-lane buyer. You may have been using some technology to figure out what the retail market is doing, but is your data tracking your local market? I'm talking your local market. Much of the data in acquisition software provides regional or national views of what a vehicle is selling for or how fast it's really moving in the market. It is critical that you see what is happening in your local market. If I had a nickel for every time a dealer said my market is different, I know because I used the same line when I was in retail. If we believe that, then we must be careful with relying strictly on guidebooks or market data that doesn't look at the VINs in a realistic radius around your dealership. If I'm using guidebooks, I need the transaction data. So check out this average MMR in this vehicle. If I can buy it at average MMR, I should pay $53,000. But what if the Suburban I'm looking for has 30,000 miles on it? Here's the transaction data. First of all, not many vehicles have transacted through the auction. This is a result of the pandemic we went through when wholesale volume really crashed. But more importantly, really, what impact should 15,000 rounds have on a car? In this scenario, almost $5,000. If I don't have that transaction data, I can't see the insights that I need to be able to make the right decision. And with so few transactions, which, again, happened when wholesale purchase came to a grinding halt, this information is critical. Remember, guidebooks rely on where these vehicles are acquired at, what price point. With acquisitions dropping to only 40% of prior year during the pandemic, how accurate is this data when we're looking through a rear view mirror? We all know you should never buy a car unless you know what you can sell it for in your local market. I highly recommend you get access to live local market retail data to make your investment decisions at auction. So I believe that data is the new oil for savvy car dealers. And what gets me out of bed every morning is that anyone in the car business can study this data. It is so accessible now at a subscription rate that will not cripple your operation from an expense perspective. Let me just say right here that if you have shopped on how to get access to this data in the past few years, throw out your misconceptions that is only affordable for the mega dealer groups. I love these quotes. Data is to the digital economy as oil is to the industrial economy. And in God we trust, but all others must bring data. The key to running a lean and mean operation, as the happy dealers were going into the lockdown because they weren't caught with too much inventory, is balancing your inventory. Simple reporting like this stocking strategy page allows you to see how to easily balance your inventory by segment and price point. Today's technology comes with consultants that can do a deep analysis of your market to determine where the sweet spot for demand is in your local market regarding price points and segments. You don't have to be an Excel guru to gain these insights. By simply clicking on your sold data, you can see what you actually sold that fits this stocking requirement. See the +3? It says, hey, I need 3 cars right now. I have none in inventory. I've sold 2, and I need 3 right now to have a 60 target day supply that I can sell in the intermediate sport utility segment from $10,000 to $15,000. That's a great insight to have. When I click on those sold units, I can see what historically I've actually sold. Perhaps this 2-dayer here deserves another spot in my inventory. Again, I can even see how long they sat in my inventory. Putting a monthly stocking plan together is critical before going shopping for units you need. If you don't have one of your own, this simple worksheet called How Many Cars Do I Need? Novel name, right? Is available to anyone on our website. To optimize your inventory turns and to minimize frozen capital, we recommend you buy every day. And that's what this provides you, a daily focus per day to buy cars. You want to become a used car factory. No bottlenecks and reconditioning, so you can get cars online in days, not weeks, when you're buying and you have an even flow of vehicles coming into your inventory and onto your dealership lot. Like oil, it's refined into a final product, right? You can now refine big data through cost-effective technology to a format where you can make key decisions on which vehicles best fit your market. The same data the mega stores and groups use is available to you. They should not have the advantage, but that's really up to you. All of this local market data, signaling demand and sight unseen conditions of every vehicle on the wholesale market, is aggregated in one place at a glance. Local market data, market day supply, scarcity index showing what customers are looking for your vehicle versus what vehicles are actually available on the third-party sites like AutoTrader. Condition reports, guidebooks, all in one place, multiple data points to be able to make an informed decision with one click of a light bulb when you're going to buy a vehicle at auction. That brings me to our last character, the sniffs. Now, these folks have been using this technology well before the pandemic and are now searching the market for opportunities. Yes, even in today's market, where wholesale prices appear to be through the roof, they are studying the market closely to be able to make decisions before most folks even know what's happening. So how did the sniffs go about it? Well, here's what they tell me. They are students of the market. They know when they can spot a correction. For example, if 7 out of 10 cars are selling at a sale that they're monitoring, it's pretty normal. If 9 out of cars are selling at a sale, that's abnormal. Clearly, demand is exceeding supply, and I may not want to jump in on that. But what could be happening soon, if 4 out of 10 cars are selling at a sale, get ready. There's going to be an opportunity. Once they identify this opportunity, once they've put their strategy page together and they know where they need to find cars, what kinds of cars that they need to stock, They set up save searches through technology. They go out fishing every night for new cars coming on the wholesale market across to all auctions. They could be buy it now cars. They could be cars that are about to run in a simulcast. They find those cars, they click on those save searches, and it only shows them the fresh units that have just been listed. So they're not going back over the same old cars that they've already passed on. Saves them tons of time, makes it hugely efficient. And once these save searches start to generate these cars that they know they need to buy more of, they can plunder and they can find the deals in the marketplace. They tell me that big dealers don't have time to find outliers when they're buying from multiple stores. A medium to smaller dealer can make their entire month if they were to find a nice 6-pack of cars in a sale that you can rip. That's what we can use technology to find and identify those opportunities. You know, everybody talks about spreading your personal network. Get on LinkedIn, talk with people that, you know, might have bigger and better ideas and give you opinions that you need to use in your business. A lot of the technology that's available today allows you to do that. When you use technology as a service, you get a consultant that helps you with that software. You can get a consultant that has retail buying background and bought cars for a living. So they're an expert in the field. I take opinions every day and apply them and steal ideas, as many as I can. But what's great about getting this technology as a service and getting that one consultant, you get them all. So think about technology that serves thousands of dealers. And there are a number of consultants that provide those dealers with support, best practices. They give inside scoops on sales and consigners that are offering great deals on their cars. And they network together and they share it with their clients. Wouldn't that give you a huge advantage when you're trying to go to the market and find the cars that you can buy that you'll be profitable with? A typical sniffs setup looks like this. They're monitoring multiple searches, sales, and letting the data drive their decisions. It's like that dealer that saved his marriage earlier. So he's more like an air traffic controller now. Hey, that's an honorable profession. And you can get all this data in one place in front of you where you can make better informed decisions. But the key is, it's having the data insights about your local market that ensures that when you bring that car onto your lot, it will make a profit. My favorite quote from Who Moved My Cheese: adapt to change quickly. The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy that new cheese. I really hope you close out 2020 like a rock star and make the changes now and some of these ideas that I provided to crush it in 2021, because the word on the street is the best is yet to come. Good selling.